I want to thank very much Chairman Coates and all of our witnesses for being here today. There is a broad agreement that small businesses are the backbone of our economy, the anchors of our communities, and that they have played an important role in our current recovery. When President Obama took office over from former President Bush, the economy was in a free fall, and small businesses were bearing the brunt of the pain. Over the fourth quarter of 2008 and the first quarter of 2009, small businesses shed more than 3 million jobs. President Obama and Democrats in Congress, along with the Federal Reserve, took bold actions to turn things around in the darkest days of the Great Recession. These actions included a number of efforts designed specifically to support small businesses. For example, the Recovery Act cut taxes for small businesses, allowing them to immediately deduct up to $250,000 of investment, carry back losses for 5 years, and exclude from taxation 75% of all capital gains from small business investment. Several small businesses in my district told me that this initiative alone helped them save their business. Today, small businesses are leading the economic recovery. Small businesses have added more than 6 million jobs over 17 straight quarters of small business job growth, which we can see in this chart number 1, where we have been growing up with a solid blue rise of adding jobs for small businesses. We have come a long ways in the past 6 years. The share of small businesses planning to add jobs is back near the pre-recession average, as we can see here in this chart too. While this reflects major progress, I believe that we need to do much more to support small business growth. The administration's tax reform plan, for example, would simplify and cut taxes for America's small businesses. President Obama's revenue proposal includes expanding and permanently extending increased Section 179 expensing for small businesses. The proposal would also increase the number of small businesses that take advantage of simpler cash accounting rules. The administration's approach provides tax cuts for small businesses in a fiscally responsible way and in the context of broader business tax reform. By contrast, the Republicans in the House have passed bills without offsets, which would blow holes in the budget. Some of my Republican colleagues would have us believe that small businesses are up in arms about President Obama's proposals. But this chart, based on a survey and data provided by the NFIB, a very respected organization, one of our witnesses today, and is here from the NFIB, shows that the share of small businesses listing taxes as their top concern is no greater today than it was when former President Ronald Reagan left office, as we see in chart number 3. One of our principal goals today should be to decide what a small business is for tax purposes. While most of the 95% of businesses that are organized as pass-throughs are small, many are extremely large. Numerous large law firms, accounting firms, hedge funds, and other businesses are pass-throughs. The tax code treats these large businesses the same as mom-and-pop stores down the street. And one of my questions will be today, should we treat them the same? When designing tax policy, fairness should be a principal concern. Some large multinationals pay less than small businesses, and some extremely large companies don't pay any federal taxes at all. In other words, the corner store likely pays more in federal income taxes than some of our country's largest corporations. Those who are critical of our tax system should save some of their outrage at this. Before taking on tax reform, Republicans have proposed repealing the estate tax, and they plan to vote on it in the House later on today or possibly tomorrow. Let's be clear, repealing the estate tax would be a major windfall for some of our most privileged and wealthiest citizens. With the current exemption amounts of over $5 million per person, that means a couple could deduct $10 million per couple. The estate tax affects only 2 out of 1,000 estates. In other words, 99.8% of Americans do not pay any estate tax at all, as we see in Chart 4. Republicans say they are motivated by a desire to protect small businesses, but that's something of a Trojan horse, I believe. Only about 20 small businesses and small farm estates owed any estate tax in 2013, according to the Tax Policy Center. Only 20. Repealing the estate tax is also very expensive. The Joint Committee on Taxation found that repealing the estate tax would increase the deficit by $269 billion over 10 years. In 1986, it was a massive overhaul and simplification of our tax code. The minute the ink was dry, work began to undo it. And trust me, it wasn't small businesses that were at that tax table. We must make sure that any tax reform benefits the small firms, not just the big multinationals gaming the system to further limit their tax obligation. Tax reform is hard. That's why there hasn't been a major rewrite of the code in about 30 years. For it to work, it must be comprehensive and it must be bipartisan. I've always said the best legislation is always bipartisan. And I look forward to hearing the perspective of our witnesses today on this important subject. Small businesses create massive amounts of jobs in our great country. Thank you for coming here today. Thank you for appearing before our subcommittee.